This is Colin Dijs, and in this video you'll see a live campaign review. 90 minutes, the full video of a masterclass recording where we basically examine one campaign, the testing, the creatives, the data, how to turn this campaign around, make it profitable, what is important, what's going wrong, and how to improve. So if you are running native advertisement campaigns, make sure to watch this video to the end because there's so many golden nuggets. Enough with the talking, let's go. Today, the Tuesday, 31st of August. Ooh, last day before we jump into September. Summer officially over, back on the grind. Ruslan, campaign review. You have assets I assume you would like to share with us?
Yes, of course.
You can.
Okay, let me check. Let's go. So basically, I'm near to breaking even right now, and the last 2 weeks I was profitable. So it's starting to become some traction, right? And yeah, just the last 2 days I have a big problem because my account manager adds some widgets, and 2 widgets they eat around $300 of ad budget in 15 hours, and not even just not a conversion, but even no click-through rate on my landing page. My landing page has normally a click-through rate of 45%, and from this 300 clicks, I got around 2%. So I think they are bots, to be honest. Can it be, or what in this case? By the
Well, I
way.
would have to see the placements, please.
Yes, I can show you the placements. And yes, they have a lot of under placements. Let me show. So these 2 places. It was crazy. I had not this optimization rule. I put it now, so I will not run again into this. So this was this placement. It has eat $200 in few hours. It was crazy. And it has a lot of under placements. I mean, there's a million of under placements. So
Right.
yes, and it was really not a nice thing. And I was looking on my volume tracker.
So why wouldn't it be a nice thing to have that many subunits?
I think because I don't have even the money to test them all. I mean, that's
Okay, fair enough.
yeah,
That makes
yeah.
sense.
And what's really confuses me in this case. Look, so normally this landing page here, normally it has, if we could take a look, CTR.
Hang on, let's not move too quick because as usual, you're all over the place. Let's go back to the widgets and let me ask you some questions so we can make it understandable for everybody.
Yeah,
okay?
Sure.
All right, so first question. Yeah. Are you sending conversions back to MGID or not?
Yes.
Okay, so what can you, is that on interest or on buy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, there we go. What is the CPA on this offer?
CPA around $130.
$130 is the payout you get on average.
Yeah, it depends on some get 60, other get 100
on upsells.
50,
okay.
and the highest is always 200. On average, right. It's 130.
So which rule do you apply in order to
in this case, my rule is to shut it down after $80. $80, and it's a little bit lower, but I think I have more chances with this to test more widgets. That's why I make this. And Ross was telling me to do this better like this. In our call.
Hang on. Let's not go too far.
Yep,
yes.
Yep.
Okay. So $80 is the answer.
Yes. $80.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah. Hang on. $80. Now my question is, I see a lot of widgets either with more than $80 spent paused, and some with some conversions, but up to $147 CPA. What happened?
So again, regarding this,
Now
Yes.
let's talk about the first widget.
Okay.
736 pence for 5
In
conversions.
this case, I can explain. Wait a second. So I need to put it from July 30 because my first 4 conversions were not tracked. I had issues with my tracker, and after the July 30, it was tracked. So I don't know where the first conversion are coming from. So
Okay.
that's why it makes sense. So let me put it on from July 30, and then you see I have here profit. So it can be that in real time I have here maybe 6 or 7 conversions. Nobody knows because the first one I was not tracking.
All
That's
right.
why
Well,
from
here we have, in this example, we have a little bit of a dilemma then, because you said the CPA is 80, right? So 5 conversions would make the cost 400, right? And it would be profitable, but yet the spend is 640 and not 400, and still this widget is on. So because the widget is making money because of the higher upsell count, it's destroying your theory based on the rules you're trying to implement. So now you're not following the rules just because it's making money, right?
But you see profit is plus 80.
Yeah, but does profit then mean that we do not follow any system and it's just fuck all, let's just run this campaign and see where it ends? Or would we still want to apply the rules?
But maybe we misunderstand each other. My rule...
No, hang on. I'm not misunderstanding. I'm just reading your data. You said the CPA to optimize is $80. Yes, it's the CPA rule you apply, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so conversions, purchases, 5.
Yes.
5 times 80 is 400, yet the spend is 639. I understand why you did it, because you have more upsell count, but then the question is the CPA supposed to be 80 or is it supposed to be 120? You take the right CPA.
Maybe I misunderstand the CPA rule. So my rule is if I will get 0 conversions, right, and minus $80, then I shut the widget off. This is my rule.
Okay, so what happens if you do get 1 conversion and onwards?
Then I give it a chance. I add 20% to this rule. So that means if I have 1 conversion, right, I wait until I get minus, let's say, $100. Then I shut it off. This is my rule.
So you add.
Maybe I misunderstand.
Why the 20%?
Ross was telling me this. So every time
I can tell you, he 100% did not tell you that.
So it was also difficult to understand for me. So, but he tells me every time you got another conversion, you can give your widget a little bit more air.
Yes. So we add another CPA minus the 20%. So 1 doesn't become 1.2, it becomes 1.8 because we subtract the 20% instead of adding 20%.
Okay,
does that make sense?
Now it makes sense. So that means after second conversion, instead of shut it down if I have minus 80, I need to shut it down if I have minus 60, right? Approximately, right?
Well, it's like percentage based.
Yeah.
Right? So
but approximately, you got my point.
It would
right?
depend on the payout, but it basically goes 1, 1.8, 2.6, 3.4, 4.2, and then 5. That's like your increments based on the conversions.
Can I write it down?
Sure, you can write it down.
So 1.
1.
Yes.
1.8, 2.6, 3.4, 4.2, 5. And that's based on the amount of conversion. So at 5, you're basically reaching an equilibrium junction, right? Where either your conversions are enough to not follow the rules anymore because you're making sufficient money, or you have to alter your own course based on your experience.
Yeah, because this is very important for me. Just can you please explain a little bit more so I will understand. So let's see, my CPA rule is 100, okay? Not
yes, so 100. So you get 1 conversion until 100. As soon as you have acquired 1 conversion, now the spend can go up to 180.
So the
Then
spend,
you
not
acquire
the,
another conversion, the spend can go up to 260. Because if the CPA is fixed, the revenue also goes up.
okay. Let's say I have here, I changed my rule now, I have here 100. So I have here 5 conversions, right? If I have 105 conversions after the spend $500, right? I need to shut down my widget. Is it correct?
Well, of course, I'm not saying you're necessarily wrong by keeping
Yeah,
profitable placements on.
if we
Hang
talk
on,
about
Ruslan.
this rule,
Yeah. Just don't talk when I talk, okay?
okay.
You're not necessarily wrong when what you're doing because it's profitable. So of course you're not going to shut it off, right? But the dilemma here is you're not driving based on rules.
Yeah, I understand,
You're
because I don't
driving
understand
with the
the
focus
rules.
on the profit,
I want to
right? So
understand the rule now. That's why I asked.
in this example, what you would do is you would apply the rules, or indeed the 500 on the spend. If then, for example, there is more substantial profit, 200, 300, or in your example here, $75, it means that the upsells are generating more additional revenue higher than your estimated CPA, right? What you're working with. So that's what I said is you might want to increase your CPA per widget at that point, because it's not, you're undervaluing it. So you're cutting it a little bit short where there is more room. Of course, this is only based on the first 2 widgets I'm looking at. Yeah, we haven't gone through the rest. But yeah, so far it's looking quite interesting. Now sure.
So, but now I have understand the rule. So it's very important for me that I was just making the wrong things, right? Before you tell me. So now I got it, right? So CPA rule means not how many minus I get, it means how many I spend.
How much you can spend, right?
Yes,
how much you can allow yourself to spend. All right, let me ask you another question.
Okay.
Yeah. What happened on the 3rd widget? So you spoke about all the sub IDs that it has, right? The sub UIDs.
Yeah.
But it has quite a significant. Did it overspend by accident, or what happened?
Yes, it was a dilemma. It was spending $200 in few hours.
All right, so it just went too quick. You couldn't.
It was a dilemma, yes, and I think it was bots because my CTR from this 205 from this 200 clicks or 400 clicks, or my landing page clicks rate was around 1-2%. Normally it's 45, so see the difference. So
too far away from the average.
Yes,
all right,
far away. So yeah.
Sure. Let's look at the lander a little bit later. Let's now focus on these widgets. Another question I have for you. How come the distribution coefficient is different per placement? So we're just looking at the top 10 placements right now. In the second column with all the orange icons for everybody watching, you can see the coefficient is sometimes 1.1, 1.2, 1.0. What happened with these coefficients? Why did you alter them like this?
Yeah, so always if I got one sale, I automatically make it to 1.1.
Why?
Because I want to drive a little bit more traffic in this kind of widgets where I get the sales.
Why?
Because I want more sales.
Okay. Let me switch. Let somebody else's opinion get involved. Yeah, I'll just pause you for a minute and then get back to you, Ruslan. Aaron, good to see you. He's like, I just hopped on. Why me? I would like to pick your brain for a second. Yeah. So, of course, I don't agree with Ruslan's approach. So Ruslan said, whenever a conversion occurs, I increase the coefficient. I'm doing this because it brought me conversions and I would love more conversions, right? What would be my argument why this is not the ideal approach?
Because it's not valuing the widgets equally. It's placing more emphasis on those widgets that you're spending more money on.
That's correct. And what else? So it's not equal. That's one.
It forces your cost per click for that single widget to go up.
So the cost go up. That's a second big
cost goes up different than the other ones.
Yes. Okay. So now you have identified the 2 main problems on the implementational level. Now let's look at the theory-based information. There's one very big problem when you're doing this. So looking at our overall testing structure, which is applying the CPA rule on widgets, right? What are we looking for when you apply the CPA rule? If you look at the specific theory, so let me give you a hint, we optimize or test the data sets on cost, not revenue, not profit, right? On cost. So cost relative to revenue, not relative to profit. The profit is not an indicator. As soon as something shows profit, we ignore it, basically, right? And Ruslan doubled down on it. Why could that be a potential problem?
Because we're still in the testing phase and not the optimization phase at this point.
And what is the goal of the testing phase?
The testing phase is to find those combinations of widgets and landers and ads that are working the best, and put them on, find the ones that are profitable where they're at.
All right, interesting. Wei, what do you think? Let me repeat it for you. Yes, we test through cost, not profit. And Aaron says we're looking for what is profitable. Is that true?
No, during test, we simply we're just buying data to see which works, which doesn't. I think the problem is you increase the coefficient, then you get less data from that widget.
That's also true because the costs go up,
yeah.
Right? So for the relative amount, you now get less data. That's all true. You said one thing interesting before. You said we're looking for what is profitable and we're also looking for what is not profitable, right? But you're only really looking for one thing and the other thing is a byproduct, right? Because if you are driving, right, you're looking in front of you because that's what you're going, but you're also looking behind you because you have to, not because you want to, right? If you go left, you also look right, not because you're going that way, but it's part of the process of driving, right? So where is the emphasis? Is the emphasis on looking what is working, profitable, or looking what's not working, exclusion?
I think during testing, the exclusion is the emphasis.
Definitely. That's why we focus on cost and not profit. If you would focus on profit, you would focus on inclusion. What happens in this example for Ruslan, he's chasing. So you're chasing a bird, right? Something is profitable, it's shiny, and you start chasing that shininess. What happens, or tends to happen, is that one conversion based on a full data set of 1,000 widgets, it doesn't mean that much, right? So to make drastic changes based on one conversion, thanks Wei, thanks Aaron, that was great. It's not really what we do because we focus on exclusion. In the testing phase, all I want to know is what doesn't work, right? Everything that works, it's great. It's very important, but I put it to the side because all I do is I just increase the CPA rule, which I don't have to touch anything. It's just a mental thing, right? I just keep track of it myself. I just increase the CPA rule, and at a later stage, I get to those widgets. If I see that they keep converting over time, right? Usually when you go into the optimization phase, you'll have a lot of widgets with one conversion, which do not make the CPA rule on the second time. And you will have maybe 5 conversions with 25 conversions each. That is your money pool, right? But you do that and you pay attention to that. And at that point, you basically say, I want to allocate more traffic to these widgets, because then you're moving into the optimization scaling phase, right? Giving it more traffic. If you would give it more traffic earlier, you can burn up the widgets quite quickly. And at the same time, the initial profits that it might bring, the spend, will now not longer go to the testing of other widgets. So you could say if you are on a strict budget, you need to make some quick money, although I don't think you can make money that quickly on native in general, but you would have a narrow-minded approach this way. And if you're in it for the long run, right? And for the campaigns that run profitable for weeks, if not months, you need large profitable data sets in terms of widgets. So you need to keep a broad overview. Does that make sense, Ruslan?
Yes, makes absolutely sense. I can just tell you the reason behind why I try to get a little bit more traffic when I see it's profitable. Because I'm also afraid to run out of money, of cash flow, and don't be able to test all the widgets, you know?
Sure.
So
then it would make sense.
yes, and that's why I was putting the CPA room, what was completely wrong. I understand it right now, thanks for this, but that's why I was put it with $80, not $130, to close a widget quicker, to give a chance to other widgets to test them also a little bit, you know? So that's why I have made this.
Sure.
But in this case,
fine.
yes, makes sense what you tell.
It's always how would you say it? It's always an equation where you either reduce the potential yourself or you give it more room but risk more money, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you got to find the balance in that, and you're the media buyer at the end of the day, so any call you would make on that would be the right call. I'm just saying, in the overall scope of things, when you would take into consideration, I don't want to say infinite budget, but at least enough testing room, then this would be less than ideal. All right, let's, can you scroll down maybe perhaps a little bit? Oh, I will have to ask one question on those sub-UIDs. Could you unvault the third placement from the top?
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this horrible placement.
Horrible.
This is horrible placement, honestly.
Yeah, let's assume in this scenario that we do not know the landing page click-through rate. Yes. Let me just pause for a second and ask everybody, because we discussed a lot just now. Is this clear for everybody, or are there perhaps any questions? No questions? Everybody understand? Oh yeah, wait, sorry.
I have actually first a comment. Just want to point out, because I see Rosling writing down those CPA rules, but I think the number you got is probably wrong. It's first, the zero conversion is 1, then 1.8, then 2.4, then 2.8, and in the end it's 3. So in the end you should have 5 conversion within 3 CPAs, not 5 within 5.
Again,
okay.
Okay,
because
so
I see you wrote it down, so I don't want, want you to.
Yeah, okay, so let me write again. So first 1.8, second 2.4, third was what?
2.8.
Okay, the
Then,
fourth one?
First one is 3.
Oh yeah, because that's the 0.6, then you add, and it's 0.4 drop.
And the fourth one is 3, and that's all. And after this, I just take a look if I'm profitable or not, right?
No.
No?
So after this, you basically conclude this widget, well, it works well. You got 5.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yes, but the first things what I want is to imply the CPA. Now I got it. I wrote it down. So
that's a good call, Wei. That's a good call. So the drop is not 0.2. Well, it is 0.2, but the actual subtraction numeric is bigger.
Yeah. So in the end, you should have 5 conversion within 3 CPA. So you should have a pretty good ROI.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. So which brings me to actually one question I have. Say during this testing phase or optimization phase, you already have this one widget that have made 5 conversion within 3 CPA. Can you increase the coefficient, or should you still wait for the overall campaign to?
That's a good question. So it's relative, as per always. So Ross called me today, and he's an experienced coach, but he had Pete. I don't know if Pete watches always these replays. So Pete, is about your situation. It's like a 3-part triangle, right? Because you have to consider multiple things. The question is, how many widgets are left? Are we spending the daily budget? That's where it starts, right? There's no reason to increase bids if you are spending the entire daily budget. So the first way to scale is to increase the daily budget, right? Because then for the same volume of traffic, according to the current price, you just get more traffic because you spend more one-on-one, right? So it's 1 in, 1 out, and not 1 in, 0.9 out, right? Then what is the situation there? So it's a case-by-case scenario. Let's assume that it would come down to increasing coefficients, right? In that example, you would not spend the daily budget. So it's a reach problem, right? That's the only reason why you would make the cost more substantial, because your ROI is going down this way, right? So it's one of the key components which I see all the time when I do I rarely ever do one-off calls, only with very big companies, right? They pay a lot of money for an hour of my time, and how they scale is, we just increase the bids, get more traffic, but they don't understand what is actually going on with that situation. So let's say in this example, you would increase the bid. What's very important that at the same time, this is just for the widget specifically, right? We would prefer to keep it all the same, but at that point, all the coefficients are different, depending on the traffic volume as well per placement. Win rate, if you have an exchange where you can see it. At the same time, keep an eye on your teasers, right? Because the performance of your teasers is basically leveraged against the coefficient. So there can be discrepancies between the two. So this could be 1, this could be 1.2, and you end up with 1.14 on your CPC. Does that make sense? So in this example, yes, we have enough money. Yes, it's extremely profitable. Let's say 100% ROI. Then do the bad increments. That's what I like. I like to take that part slow, right? 0.1 increases just to see where you get the best traction. At some point, there will be it's not a bid ceiling, but it's basically, if you know how stocks works in crypto, how it's being sold, there's always like a resistance point, right? Where a lot of people are bidding. And usually when it's between, let's say 1 and 2, it's at 1.99. That's where the resistance is. Nobody wants to bid 2, or it's at 2 and the next release is 2.01, right? So you want to play around with that bid. And that is why it's so important to be patient. Because you make the adjustment and you have to wait 24 hours. If you manage one campaign, you can easily get impatient. If you manage 20 campaigns, it's not that much of a problem to look at it once a day, right? So make those increments slowly, but take into consideration always the reach, right? The ROI, and then what it is, the desired outcome that you would like to achieve with that move, right? Because if you cannot argue it, if it would be, I want more profit, what kind of profit? Percentage based or numeric based? Because if you want more profit and you would increase the bid, maybe double it, then of course the outcome will be so drastic you don't know what will happen. Then again, on a 30% ROI, I would just keep your campaign stable. Like we said the other week, your margin will be too low. Sufficient?
Yep, great, thanks.
Perfect. Anybody else before we move on? No? All good? Sweet. Ruslan.
Yep.
The question about the sub-UIDs, right? Let's assume that we do not know the landing page CTR, right? What kind of system did you implement on these sub-UIDs, right? Because we know it overspent, but let's say you would do this again. How do we test these sub-UIDs?
I think it's very difficult with this, and maybe in the beginning, maybe it's in general a mistake to run this kind, because you can see one widget is basically, there's a millions, I think, sub IDs. I can click show more. I can do this, I think, for 10 minutes, and I was not knowing this. Yeah. So
but now you do know it.
Yeah,
so
now I know.
Was
a big mistake was I don't have this here. So my affiliate manager shows me before and always recommend me to do this, and I was not done this. So here it says has more than 150 clicks and no conversions in last 30 days. It will block automatically. I can do this also with spend. I just make it today quickly. So if this will be happened, it will be stopped automatically after 200 clicks, right? I don't got this, and my my limit was $200, and it was just.
Let me pause you again for a second, yeah?
Yeah.
So because now you give the answer in a full story. The question was, what do you do with the sub-IDs? And your answer is, I apply the CPA rule according to this optimization rule on the overall widget UID, correct?
Yes, normally I would make this like this. Yes, overall
Okay.
widget.
All right.
Yes.
Don, I see you're getting distracted while we're doing homework. The right way of getting distracted.
Yeah, yeah. It was very painful. $300 just burned. Very painful.
Right. Let me ask a question to Don. Yeah, Don, according to last week, what happened with these sub-IDs? What should we do on the sub-UID?
We should be applying the CPA rule on the sub-UIDs.
Okay, so in this example, he has a tremendous list of sub-UIDs. Ruslan said it's less than ideal to apply the CPA rule here as well. What do you think?
Probably go ahead and still do it anyway to probably get.
What would be the trade-off? Because both ways are fine. It's just we do things a specific way because there's a specific outcome we're looking for. So let's say what happens when you would apply the CPA rule to the overall governing UID. So in this example, 5676455. What would happen in that scenario?
You get less data. You don't get data specific to individual UIDs. So it's like a more almost like a higher level overview, and you don't have it more drilled down to each.
Well, if I would click on that little arrow icon like it is right now, I would see the spread. So I can still see the spread. So that's not really correct. I know what you're trying to say, you're just using the wrong words to explain it. So we apply on the overall UID, the CPA rule. We can still fold and unfold, right? Because the traffic comes from the sub-UIDs. The widget by itself is not a real widget, it's just a placeholder they give to these sub-UIDs, right? So this is one publisher which has all kinds of websites or placements that they own, and that's how they are identified. Some other publishers might have a unique UID for every website they own. There's probably a reason behind it, which we don't know, but that's how they build this list, right? Now, my question is, let's look from the other end. What happens if we test all these sub-UIDs?
We have a lot of spend.
Yeah, cost go up. That's one, right? And what also goes up? We have to think in data terms, not in descriptive terms. So cost go up, reach also goes up, right? Because we have more placements.
Yeah.
So now look at the other end of the spectrum, right? Widget UID, just that one, the single one. Cost go down, potentially, because we need to test significantly less.
Right.
Reach also goes down. Because now we're applying 100th if there's 100 sub-UIDs of all these spend that we would normally do. Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I have a large budget, what do I do?
Test every UID.
Why?
Because you are getting more reach and buying more
Okay,
data.
perfect. That's it. That's it. I just want to see if you understand. Okay. And then let's say I have less cash flow.
You would do it on the, not on the UID level, but on the.
Wait, what?
You would do it on the widget ID.
Yeah, on the, it's still the UID and the other ones are sub-UIDs.
Okay.
Yeah. So you would definitely do it on the UID, just not on the sub ones. Perfect, done. That was great. Everybody got this? Yeah, Janine, you got it? Perfect. Let's move on.
I have one question regarding
Sure
this.
thing.
What did you think? So I really suspect bots here. or do you think it's?
I don't like to have arguments about bot traffic or not. Is the quality good or it's not? If it's not good, we
Yeah.
exclude it. If it's good, then we continue.
Yeah, then it's just not good. But it's really strange from this 400 clicks, no click-through rate. So nobody click on my landing page basically.
Yeah.
Just maybe
so then
one.
it's not a good placement, and we just turned it off.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay.
Problem here is you would always, in terms of data, we want to reflect on oneself. Yes. So here, 205. You know that this low quality. You could have learned that it was low quality for $25, right?
Yeah.
1/10 almost of the cost, and that's your biggest learning here.
Yeah,
right? It happens.
was a big.
It's part of the process.
I know. No.
But that's great because
But
those are the mistakes. I still remember that it was early last year, so it was a while ago. But I did change in the tracker to add a new flow, but the flow didn't have an offer. Right, it was just empty. And then you don't get an error because your other flow, which was running, I just put it to 0%. That has an offer. Right, so I sent in a ticket to volume support, and now they show an error, right? But I spent $3,000 on a link which didn't go anywhere. It was quite a sad day that day, right? Not because of the money, of course, because of the money, but also because you just feel stupid that you didn't double check it. And that's why I just like to triple check everything. If I have a client or myself, I just run these campaign URLs on my computer, on my phone, and incognito. Those three I always run just to check the cache, just to check the formatting. And if you ever run a campaign without running your campaign URL first, then this is the advice I would like to give you. Please test it. Murat knows, he's smiling, he knows.
and to be honest, because I double check my campaign, look at it 10, 15 times at least a day. Because of this, I was able to see this, and it was so fast, that even if I double check, I don't recognize it so fast. Right. So $300 where I just go like boom. Yeah, but anyway, let's close it.
All right. Can we perhaps scroll a little bit down, see if there's anything else that interesting? I don't think so. I think we have covered most things. Anybody has a question about this widget overview Ruslan is displaying here? Anything you've seen? Anything regarding the widgets before we move on? Feel free to ask. Willie, all clear? Yes? Eric? All good? I can only see your eyes. I see your glasses, that's it. Yeah, I think we're all good. Oh, he's coming up a little bit. Yeah, all good? Okay. Yeah, if there's no questions, we'll move on. Can we have, did you make any adjustments on the teasers or not?
Yeah, I was testing a lot of teasers.
Okay, because I know we argued about it before, about what would be the right approach. Have you made any changes since?
So basically what I do, if I try a new teaser, I start...
Let's display it. Let's see if you can explain it while we also have the visuals. Is that okay?
Okay, let me show.
Yes, please.
So I always test different teasers, right? And my account manager helps me also with this. So they add also different teasers. Of course, a lot of teasers are rejected. That's my control. So I always add new teasers and then I shut them down if I see they are not performing. I start them normally with 20 cents and then I scale slowly, around 10% each day.
Why?
And if I see it makes no sense, I stop them. So what for me important? Yeah.
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
What's for me important is to get for as lower as possible clicks, as much as possible traffic.
Reach. Yes. Okay, so let me repeat what you just said. You put it at 20 cents per day, then you bump it 10% each day, and if it doesn't make a conversion, you kill this.
Yeah, even
and this is Ruslan custom theory, right? That
no,
you made up yourself.
I kill it if it got 5 to 15,000 impressions, and I see the reach is bad, and the VCTR is also not good. Then I kill it.
Okay, so conversions don't really matter.
It is.
Or if it gets conversions, you keep it on.
That's anyway, of course, but you
Oh,
cannot.
anyway, okay.
You don't get so quick a conversion. So the first thing, what I think, what I understand, you need to see that it get at least a good reach for a low price, and
Yeah.
it get a high VCTR. So the click-through rates for on this widget are pretty high. If you see this, then you understand it has a chance, right? Then you keep running it. I keep running it. And then I apply the rule. Let's say, if I spend $100 on it and I have no
Yeah.
conversion, then I close it. But the
Okay.
first things what they need to show me, good reach, good VCTR. That's are the two important things in the beginning.
Okay, but the reach on this one is shit, and it's still
Yeah,
the
it is.
control.
It is shit. It is just the control.
Okay, I have a very difficult question for somebody
Yes.
who's feeling smart. I want to check in with the Brazilian crew. Any of you three feel smart today? I know Vitor always feels smart. Miguel, you ready?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you ready? Okay. We have two ads here. Yes, the one with the cursor is on right now, and the one below it. Right? So the one where the mouse is on right now is the control. The one below it is a variant to the control.
Yes.
Right? Please explain me why Ruslan selected the current one as the control and why he might want to reconsider.
Well,
It's not an easy question.
so the control must be the best ad. So I have the metric of the CTR. It's the best CTR of the teasers. So I think it's the best one. So I don't saw the other teaser CTR.
I think the other one is 0.135. I just want you to compare these two.
Yes, actually, I don't change the cost per click of each teaser. I just see the CTR and the best CTR.
Yeah, but that's tabula, yeah? And this is on MGID, you have the reach levels, which you need to take into consideration.
Yes, I don't know about this.
Yeah, okay. Want to pass it to Vitor? He's already know. I don't know it.
I don't know if you know
okay,
it.
Let's go to Samantha. Let's see if she knows. Thanks, Miguel.
If I know?
Yeah, you're a smart lady. Read the data on the screen. Yes?
Okay.
So Miguel was right. The top one has the highest VCTR, yet there are more metrics on this screen. Some metrics that he missed and are very important here.
Okay.
Some metrics that when we go to more advanced media buy, it's not like going to make or break your campaign, but you guys ask for, or at least some people ask for more advanced material on these masterclasses, and this is one of them. One of them, if you could read the data properly, it would be a clear indicator. So if you don't know, it's 100% fine, right? But if you read this data, what do we see?
Actually, I don't know, but I'll try just to see what happens. Now I'm seeing the clicks from each one.
Okay, let me assign you the reach column. Let's just look at the reach. That will be sufficient. So the cost per click against the reach level. So the top one starts with 40 cents cost per click for a very low reach indication. Yes. The other one has a 55 cents for a very low reach indication. Right? So Ruslan picked the middle creative on the screen as his control, which I don't agree with. Yet, according to that reach level, it is correct. Ruslan is correct.
Okay.
I see everybody has his like analyzing face except Pablo Roncini, who's just looking around. But everybody is focused right now. Very good. Janine, you want to help Samantha?
I don't know. MGID that well, but my guess is that the cost per click is different. So effectively the algorithms are serving them differently. So you're going to get different results.
That's true.
The issue with the cost per clicks are different.
That's true.
So you're getting a different inventory mix. So it's not really a.
I don't want to go that way. You're right in saying something, but I don't think you realize the answer. You're also trying to give the answer indirectly, which is, I thought is like great, but maybe you're not aware you're giving the answer. So the algorithm is serving them differently, but why? Not because specifically because of the cost per click. Let me give you a hint, yes? Let's look at not very low, let's look at low reach level. On the control ad, it's 107.8, and on the variant, it's 101.5, which is cheaper than the control. But on the very low level, not. Why? Then we look at medium, the control is cheaper.
Can
high,
I ask those things?
the high is cheaper. Ruslan, can you just give one slide down so I can see very high on the second one? And then the very high is a lot more expensive.
The algorithm calculates based on effective CPM, right? So it would be the cost and the click-through rate.
But this is a CPC campaign, unfortunately.
But when the algorithms are buying the media on the back end at the widget level, aren't they taking into account the effective CPM?
In the first, maybe the first minute, if there's no CTR percentage on these ads. It's like the advanced material you picked up from last time, right? That's good, but it's just not what we apply here. I understand, Janine, because you have not used this platform that often, but there's one metric on the screen right now, which gives us an indication. So let me explain one part, yes? These ads are served in different ad categories. The reason for this is that you will see that the cost per click is different per reach level. So at some point for a specific CPC, there is more reach on, for example, the variant on low. So the low reach level starts at 101 cents, and on the other one, it starts at 107 cents, whereas the control should be more powerful, but yet here more expensive. So there is more very low, there's less very low inventory available, and therefore the price goes up. Right? While in the second segment, it becomes cheaper. So that's the medium one. You see 131 versus 126. Now my question is why? I know Wei knows, so we're going to skip him. Thanks, Janine. Let's go circle back to Samantha. You have an ID?
I don't know.
No, that's fine. Aaron, you use MGID, yes?
For the ad or the teaser ratings, the NC-17 versus the R rating?
Yes. What does that mean?
It means that the one that has NC-17, they don't have as much very cheap traffic as the one that has R rating.
Maybe that's like an assumption we make based on the current data, but let's talk about the ad groups. What is the difference between these two things? So one is R, which says on the left side, it says R active, and the other one says NC-17 in black and white. You see this? So what are these ratings?
The rating of the audience that they're showing it to?
Yes, and who gives these ratings?
MGID?
Yes, and who at MGID?
The moderators?
Yes, and in which departments do the moderators work?
I don't know. Moderation? I don't know.
They do moderation. Pablo Roncini, in which department do they work?
I don't get the questions, actually.
Okay. Somebody relieve me. Murat, which moderation department are we?
I have no clue.
Come on, guys. This is the easiest question of the day. Pedro, you know this. Moderators, they check the creatives. In which department do they work? If I say it, everybody will scream, oh, obviously. Samantha? No? Yes? No? Vitor? No, Russ, of course not you. Vitor, you know this? No, it's compliance, guys. Obviously, compliance. That's why they work. Moderators. So these are, they call ad categories, but they're basically compliance, right? So NC17 is one of the subfolders of exposed skin. So some publishers don't want exposed skin on their website. So the ad category which attached to all the exposed skin elements is NC17, which is real life exposed skin. Then R is basically R rated as in movies, which basically means like there's nothing shocking or extremely interesting on this image going on. Does that make sense? So based on this compliance rating, certain publisher inventory is added or removed, and therefore Janine was right. It would be easier to compare them if the CPCs were the same, but according to the reach levels being different with the CPCs, it's because they're different inventories. Make sense for everybody? And basically, we all will see this one day, but if you would be on that level, you could basically make that conclusion about the compliance. So this is some training, which is like homework you would get in school, which is basically, if I would make a screenshot of this and I would remove the compliance levels on all ads, and then you guys need to tell me based on the data which problem we have. And then the end result would be compliance, the ad groups are different. But you would need to be able to read that from the CPC reach column alone, which of course is very difficult if you only see that, right? But it's very interesting because at that point, you would know how to work with the data. Janine, are you just waving to me or you want to say something?
No, I have a question.
Sure.
As one thing that you're not really showing here is the date range. So my question is, as you're turning on and off widgets, you're also impacting your click-through rate and your reach. How do those factors play into the rules and the decision-making? So presumably you have a lower click-through rate, and as you turn off widgets that are bad, you would get a higher click-through rate, but your reach would go down.
Yeah, so ideally, with CPM campaigns, we look at click-through rate. With a CPC campaign, we don't look at click-through rate at all, or at least I don't. The only thing I look at specifically in MGID is the CPC to reach indication. And then you have to take into consideration the ad group, of course. But at the end of the day, you control which ads you upload, so you can already know the ad group that it's going to fall in, right? We are looking for the lowest CPC with the highest reach indication. So let me elaborate on the answer. If we exclude CTR, let's say you move inventory, the rules like, for example, 10,000 impressions, lowest CPC for highest reach, we could make them a lot more effective and complicated by putting in more metrics. But because we're making so many changes continuously, these rules would be extremely difficult to apply. So that's why the theories are kind of global, to give us the bare minimum to optimize two things at the same time, right? Because otherwise you would stretch the budget, you would stretch the time frame, and for most processes that is not as efficient. What we're doing here with my theories is already the long approach. So most affiliate use like a shotgun approach, which is basically throw something online. If it doesn't make conversions in like very low budget, they just kill 95% of the campaign and they just milk the 5%, or try to. Doesn't usually work that well, but that's like an old school strategy. But in this example, the CPC reach column is definitely where you're at, and usually based on the metrics. So oftentimes networks don't give reach. They could give win rate, so then that's the same, right? The win rate would indicate how much there's left to gain. And there's always some way based on these basic columns that you could identify how much reach there's left. So if we, let's say, have no data points according to reach, what would be the only one way we could find out on a relative basis how much reach there's left? So how much of the inventory we're not buying? General question for anybody who wants to pick it up. A little bit more of an advanced question. I want to ask Elena, but he's reconnecting his audio. Let's circle back to Mr. Godwin.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sure. The question is, let me rethink it. The question is, let's say we do not have a reach indication, right? Let's say we don't have any metrics on the screen right now. And I ask you, Aaron, you're spending money. How can you measure how much reach there is left on the campaign? Give me an indication. High, low, medium. How much traffic, how much inventory do they have? What could you do to see this?
By either, I mean, if you're on either end of the spectrum, if you're on the low end of the spectrum, if you lower it and you're not getting enough reach, then you'll know that. And then if you're on the high end of the spectrum, what's that?
How would we know that? Please give us numbers.
We wouldn't spend our full daily budget. We wouldn't spend all of our ad spend for that day.
Okay, so let's say I run $50 a day. It spends the entire budget. Now I up it to 100. It spends the entire daily budget. Which is it, low, medium, high?
We don't know.
No, still. So your test is not that useful.
But I'm saying that you could continue to lower the cost per click on it, you know, until you're not spending your full daily budget.
But I want to know the reach of the campaign, not the limitations of the campaign. So I don't want to go down, I want to go up. I want to know how much inventory they have available. We were starting the right way. So we need to take the first example. We go from 50 to 100. Still, it's spending the entire daily budget. How fast is it spending the entire daily budget? We would assume that the faster the money is spent, the more traffic is available, right? And then you rinse and repeat that process. And then you get a good indication on how far you could scale it, in theory. Does that make sense? But the spend by itself doesn't mean that much. The way it's being spent is very important here. Because if you would spend $200, like Ruslan said, in 3 minutes, we would assume that widget has a lot of traffic available. That is an assumption, but a very, very precise assumption. Make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, Mr. Ruslan, back to you. I see you're covered in shade. Oh, there you go. Coming forward to the camera. What else do you have to show us on this campaign?
Yeah, you just saw my first 2 widgets there. I mean, they're nothing. I just tested.
What did you say? They're awesome?
They're nothing. They're very bad, and
oh, okay.
I will anyway post them. You know, so I test a lot. So this is basically my winning. You see, 18 conversions. And normally I got 55 sets on middle. So it moves sometimes on low, then it comes back to middle, and the next level will be high. So I'm right now. So if with control you mean the best widget, which has the best performance, and this will be.
Well, we're looking at teasers here, right? Not widgets, but yeah, teasers.
Yeah, teasers. But this is control, right? In this case, this is that's the control.
Yeah. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I may. Let me think about this for a second. When we, because that's strange, right? That the reach levels are going up and down. Must have to do something with the performance. Eric, you're here today. Eric experienced the same thing. Now, Ruslan, you need to be able to answer this question, otherwise we cannot continue and then I'll fill in the gaps. How many widgets are in this campaign?
How many widgets in general?
Yes. Not right now, from the top of your head.
How many widgets in this campaign? Around 300.
Around 300 or 300?
around. I don't know the clear number.
Okay, so we need to know the clear number. What happens is you have an MGID whitelist on this campaign, right?
Yes.
What kind?
For weight loss. A whitelist for weight loss. So
There's not a
widgets
whitelist on
which
this
are
platform, unfortunately. So we have two types of whitelist at MGID, dynamic or static. Static stays the same, but dynamic, the inventory is replaced every single week by then the top converting widgets. So in your example, if the reach,
then it's static.
so please explain then how the reach levels can change according to the CPC significantly, because if it would change 1 or 2 cents, that might be because of the bid adjustments, right? Let's assume that. But here's like a 7 cents difference, right, between low and medium.
Yeah.
If you have a static list, then what would change? Nothing, right?
Yeah.
So if it would go down at some point, that makes sense, right? Because of possible a little bit of ad fatigue, right? People come back to the same site. It's maybe only 10% of your audience, but it's increasing. The 10% ROI goes down and the CPC is being shown less reach, right? So you would have to bid more. That makes sense. That's all normal. But let's say that's not the case because you only had 3 million impressions in a country with 400 million people, right? So there would be enough reach. Then do we still assume that it's static, or do we probably want to ask our account manager what kind of whitelist he put?
So for me, it's static because it's the same widgets, right?
Well, is it though? Because you don't know how many widgets you have. You said about 300, but if it's 321 last week and this week it's 300, then 31 widgets have disappeared and we didn't know where they went.
Yeah, maybe I need to count them and write it down. So next time,
Probably.
check. Yeah.
So we want to work accurately, right? That's very important. But we also want to know what we have. So it's not a problem. I'm just trying to teach you something that when you get a whitelist and you say, well, there's only one type of whitelist, then we already know that you don't know which one you have, and it would be great because Eric had the same, where he had the choice between static or dynamic, and also premium and advertorial, right? So different type of publisher units within a whitelist. If you already know that your offer converts great in advertorial style homepages, then you would obviously prefer that one. And it's great that they offer that choice if you have pre-existing data to go off. Otherwise, just pick one, don't combine the two, right? Because then when it does convert, you know on which one it converts.
So can I, and also I asked my affiliate how they know that these widgets are good for weight loss. And they told me, so how they do this. So they have an analytic team, and all this widget, it means just so they understand that the last 30 days, people increase the bids on the widgets. So, and that's why they say if a widget, if people increase the bid in the weight loss niche in the widget, it means it converts. So that's how they give me the whitelist. So that's what they told me.
Well, I don't know if that means that it converts. That could be an assumption, right?
Yeah,
could be
it's
a valid
just an
assumption,
assumption.
but look at the spectrum of weight loss. Yes, and it's not weight loss niche; it's the Nutra niche, right? Nutra is the niche, and weight loss is just one of the type of products within Nutra. But Nutra goes from hair loss to dick pills to weight loss to keto to skincare to tightness. That's all Nutra.
Yeah.
Right? And they try their best with an analytics team, which is just a computer who analyzes data, and some data engineers reviewing that to assist you with these products, right? Because then you buy more traffic, if that's helpful. Of course, they cannot segment each product. They just don't have the data capacity for that. So they will combine it within the vertical, and then to rely on assumption based with a very broad vertical. You just accept the whitelist because it's a little bit more premium than the regular shit. That's basically it. You don't accept the whitelist because it converts, because what converts for me doesn't convert for you, and what converts for you doesn't convert for me. right? We all create our own flows. So I wouldn't depend too much on a whitelist. You know, if somebody would ask me, nothing, so Ron, whitelist or blacklist, I will pick the blacklist, not the whitelist. But that's a whole different discussion.
Yeah, I mean,
Just saying.
I was picking the whitelist, and as I told, the last 2 weeks I running well. I really running well. Just this $300 was painful, but all the other thing I running not bad. The only thing, and Colin, if you might help me with this, so my biggest problem I think is really right now the teasers. I cannot find any teaser, and maybe I do something wrong, which can at least a little bit perform like this one. You know, I also try 10 different same teasers like this with different headlines, and I cannot reach this kind of level with, let's say, 55 cents and to be in the middle or in the low area. So you see a lot of different stuff here,
Right.
104,
Yeah.
86.
Okay, let me ask you
here,
some more questions.
Yeah.
So you're very much eager to look for what could be the potential solution, right? I'm going to give you a little beating, just like last time, because you need it, right? You're so obsessed with trying to see what's going to make this campaign work that you're not following any rules, Ruslan. You have all kinds of ads which are active. You said before between 5 and 15,000 reach. The ad we're looking at right now with the bra has 17,000 reach and is still running. Why? So if you cannot do the simple things, you can also not do the big things. These things, they align and they accumulate. So you would have to optimize these creatives. One of these creatives have 370,000 impressions. My question, what are you trying to do here?
I don't know.
Yeah, you have no fucking clue. Yeah, I'm not trying to be the bad guy here. I'm trying to help.
Yeah, I got it.
Got it. I cannot give you a solution to the problem you have when the data sets are so messy, right? Because now I would have to spend a lot of time trying to dig through the data to see what we would exclude, what we don't need to look at. And it's a waste, really, because if all this spend that you now have spent on these creatives would be used to test new creatives, we would have found our mega winner multi-million-dollar teaser, maybe, between that pile, you know? And now we haven't. And that's basically where it's about discipline.
I can tell it's about discipline.
We can say that, you know, I think we can agree that you're kind of a, let's call it energetic, right? Whenever I talk, you want to talk. Whenever you see the creatives and the widgets, you need a little bit more structure, right? A little bit structure, a little bit of focus when applying these rules, because these rules are there for a reason. If we lose focus on these rules, things become messy. So the first thing I would do is clean up this overview. Select your control. Maybe if you have, how many ads do you have in this overview? So anything related to how many teasers do you have, how many widgets, top of your head, you need to know, because you only run one campaign. Yeah, I have media buyers, they run 20 campaigns, and for every campaign, they know from the top of their head what is being ran. Okay. So let's say you have how many, 20, 30, 40 teasers?
Which are online or which are in general?
Yeah, online, yeah.
Right now, yeah, it's 15, 20.
20? Okay, so from these 20, pick 1 or 2 controls and just keep those running, right? Because all the other spend is basically going to sub-optimal teasers. And the question is why? Yeah. Well, we don't really know why. We just haven't looked at it, right?
Well, can I?
Yeah.
But the thing is, I was at the beginning 2-3 teasers, right? And I was running this, and I was try, and after time it started to be a little bit frustrating, and then I start to pick old teasers to get them online again, to see maybe there's some teasers which will start performing. So in this case, you're right, but it's even if I follow this rule, right? Just every teaser just onto 5,000 impressions. It's very hard to reach this level. I mean, I have here around, you cannot see, 150 different teasers. And Yeah, and
So
and
that's the part we have to play, I'm afraid.
yeah,
So if we would launch a campaign, spend money, you know, maybe take 2 hours to prep it, then spend money and that's it. The
yeah,
part is we are competing with maybe in your case 100, maybe 1,000 other people and or companies who want the exact same thing as you want. And in media buying, for one to win, somebody else has to lose,
yeah. So
right?
you can,
Because it's an auction model. And then it's all based on skill. So I think it's amazing. It's an amazing model because the more skillful of a media buyer you are, the more you almost guarantee that you're going to win, right? Because you know you can outcompete the rest of the market in that through that point of view. So in that case, 100, 150 ads, it doesn't impress me that much. If you would talk 1,000 ads, then I'd say, well, Ruslan, you really put in the work. Maybe you would have to consider the quality of those 1,000 ads, you know? But 150 ads where I see a lot of duplicates already in terms of images.
yeah, you can see. I just want to show you. You see, it's the same belly. I tested different things with different.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you a question. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see 3,000 impressions, 4,000 impressions.
Yeah.
Again, there's like it's doing something, no? 1,000 impressions.
Yeah. Because
what is it we were trying to do here?
Normally after 5,000 impressions, right?
Well, I don't know. You're asking me, but you
Yeah.
have stated your rule many
but,
times.
I will shut it down because it was for 5 days and it never reached the 5,000 impressions. So in this case, I was thinking then it may make no sense.
All right. In that example, it would make sense to then kill the ad.
Yeah,
right. So that's the only scenario where if you would have it for 5 days, it doesn't spend,
that's why
and it must be very low.
Yeah, that's why I have a lot of ads which has just 1,000 impressions. Right.
Okay, additional question.
Yeah.
Yes, if I may. Why are all these cost per clicks different? Or at least there are some discrepancies in the start of the CPC.
Yeah. Normally I keep them all similar. So they are different because I don't know.
We made that rule later on in the campaign.
No, I have this rule, but sometimes I close this and then I keep trying to increase a little bit here and here, right? And normally, what I cannot understand, so please explain me. So this is a very important question for me, okay? So look, wait a second. Let me go back to my control.
Sure.
So let's say, I cannot go back. Okay, so this is my control, right? So I want add a complete. No, this is my control. Yes. So I want apply a complete new teaser, okay, and want to test it. Which kind of bid I need to start? 55, like my control, or do I really need to start 20% of the bid what MGID suggested, which would be 5 or 7 cents?
Right. Well, let's look at it relatively, right? Because that's always the keyword that we use. Let's say we don't have any other ads except this ad, right?
Yes. Okay.
Now, take into consideration many different things. Yes. One of these things is I don't want to say time served because I think that means something else, but let's say time served on this ad impression, right? 3.3 million, almost 3.4 million impressions, the times that has been served to the audience, right? If we would start with a lower CPC, it is extremely unlikely that the algorithm would stop pushing this ad because apparently it is working well enough to consistently have you spend your money, right? In that example, from that analogy that we would otherwise start maybe at 40 cents instead of 55, I would start all new teasers at 55 to make a proper comparison.
Okay, so it makes sense if I want to test a complete new teaser, start immediately with 55 cents, right?
Yeah, but listen to what I just said. Only when there are significant reach levels established under control. So the explanation why you're picking 55 cents, you should always be able to back up what you're doing, why you're doing it.
I can tell you why. So the reason behind it.
Well, I just told you why. So if you were going to tell me what I just told you, then yes, that's correct.
Yeah, sometimes I just not understand you so good.
Okay, well, you can
Maybe
repeat it back
because
to me if you
English
like.
barrier, I don't know. So what I understand, so why I picked 55, because it's not too much, but it's enough to get enough traffic and it's profitable. So that's
Wait, what? Where did the profitability come from?
uh, from the sales.
Who said anything about sales?
No, you I mean, I just explained why I pick 55 cents as a bid.
Yeah, but you said, so what I should do is, right? That's what you said.
Yes.
And I just explained what you should do according to the reasoning why you should do it.
Yeah, so.
And now you're bringing in profitability and sales, which is something I haven't said at all.
Sorry.
So the question is, I don't think it's a language barrier, but are you actively listening to what I'm saying?
I listen actively. Sometimes.
Okay, then I will repeat it one more time for you. Yes?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, on the teaser, you have accumulated 3.3, almost 3.4 million impressions, correct?
Yeah.
So this is quite significant, right? If you would test the new teasers, you only have this control. All the other teasers are gone. You would add new teasers, you would add it on a 40 cents, which is 55 cents less than the control. And the control has such significant reach levels already accumulated, so the 3.4 million impressions, then it's unlikely that the algorithm will give it a proper comparison, right? Because it's already running and it's spending your money and you've been running it for a while, so everything must be good, right? So that might be correct, that might be incorrect. We don't know how the actual algorithm works. So therefore, we start the new creatives, teasers, on 55 cents to give it a proper run, proper comparison. But only for that reasoning, right? So on the teasers in general, I never look at profitability on teasers unless I'm in the second stage of the optimization phase.
Okay, so that means if I want to test a new teaser, I need to start with 55 cents and run it until 5,000 impressions and then make my decision, correct?
Yeah, you said before 5 to 15,000 was your rule, and that's fine.
Okay, so this will be the best thing in this case, what I can do, right? Or maybe.
Well, I wouldn't say it's the best thing to do in this scenario,
what is
but
the
you
best?
asked me
Tell me
how you should do it, what you should do, right? So to reorganize your entire campaign, I don't think we have time for this because I have one more question for everybody else watching before I go to Murat, which I would like to discuss. And then if we have time, we can come back to your actual campaign, okay?
Okay, sure.
All right, Mr. Roncini, almost sleeping.
So, what's the question?
Yeah, no, I'm yet to announce it. Ruslan, can you go back to the control, please? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so my question, Mr. Roncini, is why are we not taking into consideration conversions? Because this creative, the control, has 18 conversions.
Because as you said before, we take it into consideration when we are at the second stage of the optimizations.
Why not now? Because it would make sense. If it makes more conversions, then it must make more money.
Yeah, I mean, it's relevant. It's a relevant number because he gets enough conversions to make optimizations on these teasers.
I think conversions is one of the most relevant numbers in the entire data sheet, right? Yet we choose to ignore it. So there must be a specific reason, and not because it's a little bit less important right here.
Because in order to get more conversions, we have to test properly. We have to define what's the best performing widget and.
But let's say one of the hierarchy would be revenue minus cost is profit, right? Yeah. So then we look at conversions. Why are we not looking at conversions here? Not because the rules are not like that, obviously, because I made those rules. So I know that we're not using those conversions, but let's think, yeah, let's think. Why are we not measuring these conversions? They're not as important. Of course, it's great that this converts, but let me ask you this. Wouldn't it make sense that this creative converts the most?
Well, I think that there's more congruency with this kind of teasers with the product. So
okay, let me pause you. Yes, because we're going into the wrong direction. But good effort. We were almost there. You went like this, and then you diverted a little bit. Samantha.
we wanna okay.
No. We have to give somebody else a shot. You know how this works?
I think it's because it has 3 million of reach, so it's logical to have more conversions than the other ones that has the less reach than this one.
Perfect. If something gets more reach, it's also likely to have more conversions. So the data here is not conversions, it's not reach. It will be reach divided by conversions to get the ratio, and that is what you compare. But that's way too complex to compare, because then all you do is make calculations all day. So that's why we don't consider conversions. Are teasers a strong indicator on conversions? Also not, because they're way separate on the entire flow. Conversions are at the end, ads are at the front. The odds of the ad influencing the conversion rate is very much unlikely, because the lander and the offer page are before that. They have way stronger influence on the conversion rate. The only reason that we stick with what you said, congruency of the flow, that's correct, Pablo. And that's the coherency of the flow. So it's still important, right, to take into consideration in the creative process. The conversions are not specifically interesting on the teasers, because we're not doing ratio work. Make sense? Samantha, correct? Pablo, good effort. So that was another interesting question there. Anybody has any questions? We have 5 minutes. Oh yeah, Murat, of course. Apologies.
No problem. First question about when the reach level changes. That's because of the non-static whitelist or blacklist, you said?
When it would move down.
Is that the only reason?
No, definitely not. So don't take that as the main reason. But let's say your bid goes from low to very low, right? With a small adjustment in the CPC, or the CPC stays the same. So now you get less reach. This could be a result of significant ad fatigue when you're running 10 million impressions a day in a smaller geo, right? Because now they're just not as interested. So the publishers don't feel like serving it because their RPM based on the clicks goes down, right? The other side of things could be dynamic whitelist, but a dynamic whitelist is only updated once a week. So you will only see significant changes, usually from Monday to Tuesday, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. It depends obviously on the network as well. And I'm just talking about MGID here. Most whitelists are static, always, right? They just have some more advanced systems that they have dynamic. Why it would be great to have dynamic is you could, for example, I don't know if that's possible, but suggest them, I want dynamic, but I don't want you to replace the bad placements. I only want new placements. Because if you have a profitable campaign, all you want is something that converts for somebody else, then test that. So then it would make sense if they only add to your list and not remove it. I don't think it's possible because it's like an automated system probably, but it would be interesting. And especially if you are a big spender, then I think MGID is very much willingly to make those adjustments. Well, I know they're doing it. So.
Okay. And about optimizing the creators, like here in this case for Ruslan, if you would want to optimize the teaser, the image, would you build on this angle, or it makes no difference if you try another angle?
Well, then let's look at the data, right? we have 5 levels of reach, right? You are,
Yeah.
last time I seen, on the high, very high. Yes?
Yeah.
At
Yeah,
that
or we
moment,
can take me as example.
yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Would you?
Yeah. So because you asked the question, so you're on the high, very high, right? On your campaign you showed me last week. In that example, it would be unlikely that we're going to use a different angle because apparently what we're doing is working, right?
Yeah.
Here we are on very low and low. So
Yeah.
in this situation, I would say, yes, you could work with the angle. What Ruslan tried to do is replicate the low reach, but it's still low reach. It's not high reach. So if this were my campaign, I would take a different angle.
Yeah.
And what you did
Yeah.
was, I can't really recall, but you did several angles before you ended up with a high, very high reach.
Mm-hmm.
And every time you asked me, do I increase the bids? And I told you, no, make more creatives. And that's what you did. And that's how you ended up with the high reach.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's all the basics at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right? I don't, it's one of my, well, I'm not frustrated today. I'm super chill. I hope you guys enjoy my, my less jokey side. But I just don't understand often why always people come back to upping the bids. The first thing they do, oh, I'm just going to up the bid. It's like people panic. And it's just like, oh, up the bid. But it's definitely more so in showing the right creatives to the right audience. I can't even recall what kind of creatives you made, but it's working.
Before and after, and then
was it the yellow t-shirt thing?
Yeah, really bright colors. Yes. Yeah, those two.
What did you say?
Those two very bright colors, or
connection is really bad. Maybe it's just me, but I could say 2 creatives. 2-faced? No, that's not me. That's you. 2 creatives. Okay.
Yeah. Emphasize on the face and or very bright colors. That was.
Oh, very bright colors and emphasis on the face. Well, there you go. Some golden nuggets from Murat. All right, perfect. Any other questions?
If no one has a question, I want to ask.
Yeah, it's for you, mate.
One.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm working on the assignment that you gave me, and I wanted to use the break-even formula, and I was curious if you can use a break-even formula without a landing page CTR, because I don't have those data.
Yes, that would be possible. The equation would become shorter. Let's give us some background information. Murat has a campaign with a lot of profitable widgets, but the overall cost to test and further move on. Basically, he's at a point where you either continue with the campaign, make a squeeze campaign, stop the campaign. But in order to make that decision, you need to be able to read all the data, make a proper argument, and then make your decision. You cannot make the decision without a proper argument, because then you're just guessing. And Murat has been spending the last 5 days on this dilemma while the campaign is still running, right? Because he told me 3 different answers across 3 different days. So one of these answers must be correct, but there's no proper argument. So the argument is descriptive.
True.
The argument is not data backed, right? And if you're not reading the data and just giving an argument, because some of your arguments were quite good, now the question is, what do you need to look at? Well, the metrics, right? CPC. So we start at the top. So revenue, profit, cost. That's where you start, right? Reach, widgets, profitable widgets, right? I think based on those 5-6 metrics, I could already make your argument, right? But the thing is, the data speaks, right? The data tells the story. However, you have so many data fields on your screen. So now the job is to pick the right fields. For example, what we're looking at right now, there's conversions, there is VCTR, there is reach per day, reach per yesterday, reach per total. But we only really looked at the reach to CPC. What the ad looks like, we don't really care, right? We're looking only at that middle part in the examples we just looked over. So for your argument, trying to make the right argument, your dilemma right now is picking the right metrics.
Yeah.
And then putting them together. So if your question is, can I use the break-even analysis for my answer? You could do, but I would not be satisfied with that answer. Because that is to indicate potential of a campaign. And you're not looking to indicate the potential because you have over 10 profitable widgets, right? So you're looking, well, now I'm already going to say the answer, but you still have to find the metrics yourself. You're looking to the stretch of your cash flow relative to the potential of the campaign, right? Can you spend the amount you need to spend per day to the goal you want to achieve relative to how the campaign is currently running? That's the triangle. I spoke about the triangle: cash flow, potential, current status of the campaign, right? If you connect these three things with data, you get your answer.
So I have to connect the potential.
So yeah, the potential
with
as
the
in the
current
goal
status.
you would have, the current status, and then,
goal.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's also lacking really a goal that I want to achieve with the campaign.
In general terms, we wouldn't launch a campaign with no goal in mind, right? We spoke before about front-end profits last week, where basically you're in a continuous situation that we do not launch campaigns. Let me give you an example. Damien, if you're watching this, congratulations. Today he hit $10,000 in revenue and he got his premium payout from Terra Leads, 10,000 bucks.
Good job.
But he has the good example before, which I've given several times, where he had the goal of doing $300 a day in profit, and he decided to do it in tier 2 across 10 different campaigns, so $30 a day. Well, he saw something like $50 a day, so maybe 7 different campaigns, and he made that happen, right? But you could also do 300 a day profit with one campaign in tier 1, for example. Right? So if you know that you're going to take the tier 2 approach, then probably you already want to calculate in lower daily profits and lower daily spend, because there's less significant reach. And that's something we intuitively think of when we think about these geos, but you need to think about them out loud and write those things down, because then you have a projected revenue, profit, whatever, for that specific campaign. One also good thing is, how much widgets are you starting off with? As soon as you know the widgets, or you ask your account manager about the inventory, write down the cost. And if you would have done that, you wouldn't have the dilemma you have right now. Because as soon as you cross a certain cost point, it needs to have X amount of revenue, otherwise the campaign gets killed.
Could you repeat it, please?
Yes. If you would know the widgets beforehand, or on the first day of running the campaign, you would see the widgets, right? You can ask your account manager, you can run it for 1 day, see the amount of widgets. Then you can dial in the costs, the minimum costs of the campaign. And if you cross that cost without reaching your revenue goal, you kill the campaign. This way, you're setting up systematic rules.
Excuse me, how would you calculate that? I had, in this case, 175 widgets.
175 times 1 times CPA, that's the minimum cost.
Oh yeah, of course.
Sometimes it's just easier than we think. We just need to think, right?
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes I overcomplicate things.
Yeah, that's okay, because it's like the learning process, right? So that happens. All right, guys, I'm afraid we're out of time. Ruslan, big thank you to you for sharing your campaign.
Thank you to you. Very, very informative. Just one question in general. What would you suggest me? So if your last word regarding this campaign.
I would fuck off this campaign and launch a new one according to the right rules. So structure it properly from the start. Even if it would be the same campaign, just pick over the widgets, pick out what you have obtained so far, pick out the teasers and launch a fresh campaign, even with the same assets, just to get the data clean and learn to implement the rules properly. That would be my advice.
Thanks. Thanks.
Yes.
Think about this. Thanks.
Right.
Colin.
Thank you guys for being here.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to invite you all again on Thursday because I haven't finished the contracts for my coaching clients. So on Thursday, I know you're excited. I will see you guys all again. Until that time, have a great start of your week. Talk soon.